Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Jasmine Anand, Assistant Professor of English from Mehchan Mahajan DAV College for Women, Chandigarh, India. I will be speaking on Post-Colonial Balti, reading curry in UK's cuisine. I'm personally a foodie, and I love to explore and read on food. My presentation is influenced by my master's class discussions on post-colonialism and cultural studies, and my pre-COVID visit to UK. And I would request James to help me out with the PPT, please.
Are you able to see my screen?
We can see the screen. We need the first slide, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should be
Thank
there
you
now?
very much. Yeah, it's there.
Brilliant.
So we can move on to the second slide now. So meeting people in alleys and lanes of UK, all I could hear was India, curry. So Britishers are fond of curry. Any dish with gravy or semi-dry preparation prepared with Indian spices and style is close to their heart. This is the signature dish of British colonial cuisine. Interestingly, it is their national dish too, as they call it. The British adopted curry from the earliest days of colonial rule, and it became popular in the days of East India Company from 17th to mid-19th century. Curry's legitimacy is contested, but my focus will be on Anglo-Indian curry only. To the English, Indian food was unhygienic and unpalatable because of high content of spices and herbs and oils. Curry as a part of Anglo-Indian food was both the effort of the colonizer and the colonized. It can be read as a fabrication of colony to domesticate the colonial environment, or an appropriation to be adaptable, and also as a form of post-colonial resistance by the colonized later on. May I have the next slide, please? Let's hear about hotness of the curry through a poem, The Police Wala's Little Dinner. First, we had Malik Diwani soup, which made us all perspire. For the cook that obstinate nincompoop had flavored it hot as fire. Next, a tremendous fragmentary dish of salmon was carried in. The taste was rather of oil than fish, with a palpable touch of tin. Then, when the salmon was swept away, we'd a ducky stew with peas. And the principal feature of that entree was its circumambient grease. Then came the pride of my small farmyard, a magnificent Michelamas goose. Heavens, his breast was a trifle hard, as for his leg the deuce. Last we the curry of ancient fowl, in terror a portion I took, hot, I could hardly suppress a howl, curse that free hand of a cook. There is a curry mile, next slide. There is a curry mile in Manchester and Balti Triangle in Birmingham, next. That is famous for curries, Lahori chargas, naans, tandoori preparations, and baltis. Next, Hobson Jobson, a historical dictionary of Anglo-Indian words and expressions, next please, defines curry as a savory dish made up of meat, fish, fruit, or vegetables cooked with a quantity of bruised spices and turmeric, savored and served to add flavor to two bland staple foods of the East, that is bread and rice. It states that the curry was a corruption of Tamil word curry, meaning sauce. It also mentions that the Portuguese colonizers adopted Canarese form, carol, that is still used in, or curl, that is still used in Goa. It was basically a pale imitation of spicier korma and salan that was served with pilau. The dictionary states that the curry is not totally of Indian origin, but could have evolved from medieval Europe and Western Asia. Curry is prepared differently in different parts of India with varying degrees of hotness, either as a stew or a semi-dry dish. Collingham opines that the British lumped all the varied dishes like Rogan Josh, do pyaza, fish, korma, dal, etc. together under the heading of curry. Strangely, curry, a meal that was savored by lowest hierarchy in India, and according to an article Feeding the Imperial Appetite, the army officers and their wives of the British Army regiment that were temporarily posted in India refused to eat curry and rice served at the dinners hosted by the families of the Indian Army Regiment, who were also British, as curry was a dish that servants in India eat. In a very interesting reading by Susan Zlontik, one finds how this curry, once appropriated from India by the British, was now marketed in India as a commodity to validate their domesticity, neutralize the threat of the other, and the notion of eating India itself. From the brand The Empress to the Sharwoods, next please, the international market is flooded with curry paste and powders made in UK. And I not only tasted, but tried cooking with the same instant paste at UK. Next, history says that Emperor Jahangir gave permission to Thomas Roe in 1605 to set up a company in India to export curries and spices. The Anglo-Indian cuisine, like the Maltoani soup, curry captain chicken, railway mutton curry, Dak bungalow chicken, fugat, vegetable jalfrezi, all its gravy, stew, or curry based. The indentured laborers and the immigrants to UK led to the evolution of Balti curry, Indian restaurants in 1950s. Next, I already mentioned that initially there was a resistance of the British towards the curry as it was cheap and the food of the lower classes. The consumption of leftovers was a taboo among the majority of Hindus in India. The rising middle class in British homes started using curry as an excellent way of using up cold meat during the Victorian times. It was an economical way of stretching family meals in Britain during those times. Servants were responsible for cooking in colonial household, and curry was one such dish that needed no supervision from the main sahib. An anecdote goes, once a British customer dismissed chicken tikka as too dry, and to adhere to British appetite, it was mixed with Campbell's condensed tomato soup, and thus chicken tikka masala as a curry cuisine was born. Further, curry was also seen as having health benefits because of its spices. It was remarked that the East Indians lived so long because so many of them were curry eaters. The hotness and pungency of curries aided perspiration that not only cooled the body, but released the toxins at the same time. Next, please. We can also see how curry has gained favor by entering into the English idioms. Next. Balti or Balti curry basically meant high flame cooking in a wok, karai, or Balti. And we see its origins from Baltistan, Kashmir, Portuguese, or even the Balti used in Sikh langar or kar seva. Next. The post-colonial resistance can be studied through the same cuisine as the Indian restaurants in UK exploited the ignorance of their white patrons, as they served the same curry with different labels. They added Balti to curry not only because it was easy for the Britishers to speak Balti than Karai, but resisting the colonial rule of the Britishers by serving them in the thrifty Balti, as Ziauddin Sardar mentions that Balti was used in the Indian subcontinent for washing, bathing, and even going to the lavatory. Serving traditional authentic Indian food with the name of Balti curry also broke the lower working class cheap meal image of the cuisine and gave it a more fashionable label. Next, Ziauddin Sardar mentions the changing power relationship between Indian restaurant and British society by looking at the names of the restaurants in 1960s, rekindling the fond memories of the empire, finally in 1970s and 80s, to re-invoking images of rich history and tradition of India that was once its rich colony. The name shed its colonial connection where the restaurant don't attract the Britishers, but the Indian diaspora to relish their native meal. The contemporary names indicate authenticity of expression and the confidence of the Indians having arrived and settled in UK for good. Next, please. I would end my presentation with the thought that Curry Balti has cosmopolitanized and humanized the parochially sanitized British people, with all its transformations and sharing the tandoori naan by all the diners on one table while having a bite with their curry Baltis. This is all the more endorsed as many Balti restaurants have BYOB's concept, bring your own booze concept. And many local tours in the name of Balti and curry are organized in UK. Next. The ubiquitousness of Balti can further be seen in KFC bucket of fried chicken and bucket biryani. Next, please.
Sorry, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not going to the next slide. Sorry, one moment.
All right. So yeah. So this is how we find how curry is assimilated to the very taste of Indians as well as Britishers, and the Balti and curry becomes familiar to all of us. Thank you very much.